Hi. Um, I wanted to, I was hoping to talk about something happy, but I'm not happy, so I'm not going to talk about something happy. I'm kind of unhappy, actually. I was treated really badly with the federal court system over the past couple of years since I got to Portland, Oregon. I was in federal prison for a year. I was put there by a judge, federal district judge Michael Mosman, who's the chief judge in Portland, Oregon, and he also is one of the FISA judges, FISA, and which is a special court in Washington D.C. But Mossman had me imprisoned for an additional 30 days after I was released from serving a year, and, and then he had me subjected to psychotropic drug injections, which had a very damaging effect on my metabolism. I gained over 100 pounds in less than 4 years. In about 3 years, I gained over 100 pounds. And I have you can see how fat my face is. I never used to be this fat. I used to be in pretty good shape. A couple of years ago, I was working out quite a bit. I don't want to ever work out as much as I was working out, but I was going like 6 days a week, 2 hours a day to the gym. I don't want to ever do that. That's too much for me. I don't ever want to do that again, but I was in really good shape. And I got really fat, and he damaged my health. Mossman did, with these drug injections, and there was no need for them. I have health issues. Like, I have a condition called venous stasis on the lower part of my leg, like below my knee, around my shin and my calves. The skin is all chafing off, and I have like these wounds that open up and they weep, they ooze fluid, and they scab over. So I got these big. It's really disgusting, and that's all because of this enormous amount of weight that I've gained. I'm having a difficult time trying to lose it because I tried going to a gym, but I'm just not happy going there. I don't really like being around the people. I don't enjoy it as much as I used to go when I used to go a long time ago. I have a docket number with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and hopefully, I don't know how the court system works, but I hope Mossman is removed from the bench. I hope he's no longer permitted to be a judge. He's not fair. He's cruel. He's inhumane. He's dumb. He's a very stupid person. I remember telling this to my federal public defender years ago, and I remember my public defender, she wasn't real bright either. She told me that he was a Rhodes Scholar. He's not a Rhodes Scholar. He's a Mormon. He went to Mormon schools, and so I mean, my lawyer lied to me, in addition to failing to do any research or discovery, and yeah, I'd be in a lot better shape if I had never met these people. I hope things get better. I think they will, but for the meantime, I have to deal with this. There's a lot of pain, and my feet hurt so much. No matter what pair of shoes, I have a pair of New Balance shoes that I bought back in February. It's a $175 pair of running shoes, which is the most I've ever spent on a pair of shoes. And I generally like New Balance, but I can't wear them. I think it's the weight. My weight is causing my feet to hurt, and it's causing that venous stasis condition, which this condition with my legs. I've had for like over a year now, because last December I had to go to the hospital. I was prescribed a blood pressure medication called amlodipine, which causes peripheral edema, and that's swelling of the extremities, and my legs got really swollen, full of fluid. I couldn't even bend my legs to sit down. And I remember I went to the hospital, and I thought maybe I had a blood clot, and they did an ultrasound on my legs, and then they took 2 chest x-rays of my heart to see if I had congestive heart failure. And then they did blood work, and it came back that the ultrasound was fine. I didn't have a blood clot, and the x-rays was fine. I didn't have congestive heart failure. My heart wasn't enlarged. And then I went in for an ultrasound a couple of days later. They did an ultrasound of my heart, and that came back fine. This happened because Mosman had me injected with psychotropic drugs. It was actually a drug called Abilify, and I was being injected with it. The reason I was being injected with it is because after I got out of the halfway house, after having been in prison for a year, I went to a halfway house for 2 months here in Portland, Oregon. I discontinued the Geodon that I was prescribed, and I happened to mention it to someone, and they told on me, and I got called in front of the judge. There was a couple of things that had happened that brought me back in front of the judge. One thing I did was I called the judge's house. I called Michael Mosman's house in Westland, Oregon, and I left a voice message, and I told him that Flight 93 landed in Cleveland, Ohio on September 11th, 2001. The United States government says that the official story is that Flight 93 crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and all the passengers were killed. All the passengers landed in Cleveland, Ohio, and all of the passengers were interviewed by FBI agents in the NASA Glenn Research Aircraft Hangar, and Robert Mueller was the director of the FBI. And I provided this information. It was recorded on Judge Mosman's voicemail. I told him that my friend Sergeant Clifford Stone was in Shanksville after 9/11, and Clifford had relayed to me that he didn't see any evidence of a plane crash. And then I had also heard from Michael White, the former mayor of Cleveland, Ohio, that he had held a press conference that announcing the landing of Flight 93, and that press conference was broadcasted on WCPO, a Cincinnati station. And then I think a senator told them to never broadcast that press conference again. And so this information was recorded on Judge Mosman's voicemail, and then it was given to the U.S. Marshals Service. So the U.S. Marshals Service has been in possession of this information since, I think, like 2014. I was called in to I had a probation officer, a federal probation officer named Matthew Pruitt, and I had given this information to him the whole time I'd worked with him, or was assigned to him, and he did nothing with it. But after I had made that phone call and the marshals got possession of it, my probation officer's supervisor called me on the phone, and he told me he wanted me to come down to the probation office, which is located in the federal court building here in Portland. He said that Mr. Kelly wanted to talk to me, and Mr. Kelly was the boss of the U.S. Marshals here in Portland. And I told them I'm not coming down there. I told them that I was in New York and that I would not be able to come down there. And when they asked me, when some people asked me like how I got there, I told them, well, I teleported to New York, and they didn't believe me. The next day, I was at the library in Portland, Oregon, and I was sitting in an atrium area next to the Friends of the Library store, and 3 marshals walked in, and they saw me and immediately came over and handcuffed me. I was on a cell phone. I was talking to my daughter, Kirsten, and they walked me out of the building, and we went around the library to the back of the library and put me in a black SUV and drove me downtown to the Multnomah County Jail where I was booked. And I recognized one of the deputies there. I don't remember what his name was, but I remember he had a long red beard, and he didn't have a beard the last time I had seen him. Yeah, I was put in there, and then the next day I saw a judge, Patricia, someone. She was called out from Pendleton, or maybe I saw her that day. I don't remember. I remember the court clerk. That was the court, the one that was doing the typing. Her name was Amanda, because I remember I told the judge that I had given information to Amanda Fritz, who's a city council member, and Amanda Marshall, who was the U.S. attorney here, but she lost her job because she was fooling around with one of her employees. Anyways, there's people coming in here, so I want to keep this brief. Anyways, Michael Mosman really messed up my health.